This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
As of right now, the legend killer, the Viper, Randy Orton, is off of the WrestleMania 41 card. So we're going to talk about what the future for Randy Orton and the immediacy of WrestleMania being like less than 2 weeks away. What is going to happen with Randy Orton? Is he going to be on the card? Is he going to be left off? Is there going to be some kind of an event? And if he is put back on the card, who will his opponent be? So we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to send a shout out to Kevin Steen, aka Kevin Owens, wishing him a speedy recovery. This neck injury that has left him no choice but to go get surgery. It is a very serious neck injury, and we're hoping that we can see Kevin Owens back healthy, whether it's in a professional wrestling ring or not. I would just love to see Kevin Owens back into the, in the health that he has before this injury. I don't know when it occurred. I know there's been a lot of rumors. People have suggested that it came from a match he had in January with Rey Mysterio. There was a few reports indicating that it could have been from the Cody Rhodes ladder match because of the way that he rolled up over that ladder after the concrete slam or Alabama slam through the ladder that was posted between the ring and the commentators table. But what I do know is that I have been watching Kevin Steen since his Ring of Honor days, and one of the first matches I had ever seen with him was a tag match between himself, El Generico, and the Briscoe brothers. It was a tag war, and it was one of my favorite matches, and I had it on repeat. I actually had a DVD of that matchup on a compilation of a bunch of other different matches back in my old tape trading, DVD trading days. And so I really appreciate, always have been into Kevin Owens as a performer, Kevin Owens as a competitor in the ring, and what he's able to do. The match that he had with Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be an infamy for WWE perpetually, and I appreciate everything that he's done, and I am a fan of everything that he's done, and I am thankful that he has had the career that he was able to have in the WWE up until this point. Whether this is the last time that we see him wrestling in a ring or not, I just wanted to wish Kevin Owens, aka Kevin Steen, a speedy recovery. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to talk about Randy Orton being left off of the WrestleMania 41 card due to Kevin Owens' injury and what that what the implications of that may be. And so on Friday's SmackDown, Randy Orton gave Nick Aldis an RKO after Aldis said basically like, we ain't got nothing for you, man. So that left a lot of question of where we're going with this Randy Orton. A lot of people were quick to jump the gun and say, well, maybe it's Nick Aldis who's going to dust off the trunks or the tights and get in the ring and wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41. That I don't believe is going to happen, although stranger things have happened for certain. I would say that we're more likely to get some kind of an open challenge deal. Now, remember, the last time there was an open challenge deal, Cody Rhodes made his triumphant return to the WWE by challenging or answering the challenge of Seth Rollins. So you got a couple of guys that are sitting out on the shelf right now. Let's go over them. They're sitting on the shelf because they're either signed or they're waiting for something to happen. You've got Aleister Black, the former Malachi Black from AEW. You have Rusev, aka the Redeemer Miro, who has been sitting out on the shelf. Those two guys can make a huge triumphant return to the WWE at WrestleMania by answering a Viper challenge from Randy Orton. I can see that happening. I don't understand the story. With the WWE, they don't do anything, at least they haven't for the last couple of years. They don't do much without a reason. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. Of course, for anything, there's always an exception to the rule. And I'm sure that you guys in the comments can point to maybe 2 or 3 different things that the WWE has started and then evidently stopped or swept under the rug. And one that I'm thinking of currently is the Wyatt Six. Even though you have, even though you have an injury there, with Uncle Howdy and whatnot, you still they've seemingly disappeared altogether, and with that, so has Alexa Bliss. So I can understand things have been put off for a while, brushed aside, or even forgotten in the WWE. But typically, what you see, especially with high-profile superstars, is they have a story that they would like to thread that makes sense. So when I was muddling over this before I started doing this video, and I just hit record, man, I didn't even have any notes on this or anything, but I was thinking of like what would make sense to, who would make sense for an opponent for Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and I was going over a bunch of different names. One of the names that I stopped on is Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, his relationship with Kevin Owens, of course, well storied history. They're brothers, and they had a big brawl at the Air Canada Center or in Toronto, and that was one of the biggest matches, not only in their storied history but just for their career, a great bookend to their career. You know, they were in gymnasiums, they were in high schools and VFWs, and then to have that match with 70,000 people, it was huge for them. So even though they destroyed each other, they're always going to destroy each other with love because they're brothers, you know? So you can do something with Sami Zayn there where he's avenging Kevin Owens. It's an interesting situation for the WWE to be in because if you remember last year, there was a lot of talk about Kevin Owens, or at least from my channel, I don't know about everybody else's channel, but for Kevin Owens being the one to bring out a more devastating Randy Orton that eventually leads to him punt kicking Cody Rhodes. That was the idea that I had in my head. Since then, there's been a whole lot of story arc changes that have gone on. So, Sami Zayn can be one of those guys that comes in, tries to avenge Kevin Owens. You can get a story out of that fairly easy, and it would make sense in my mind. Another story, I know not a popular one, another one that I was muddling over was Solo Sikoa. Now, you know the history between Randy Orton and the Bloodline and what's going on with them. I mean, it would make sense to bring in Solo Sikoa to have that match with Randy Orton. You can easily get there, whether it be Solo makes fun of Randy Orton for being left off of WrestleMania. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot, and they have a backstory that you can tie in with video packages. But my pick, the one that I think is going to make the most sense, is probably going to shock a lot of people, or followers of the channel probably are not going to be so shocked, is Karrion Kross. I believe Karrion Kross is the perfect opponent for Randy Orton at this stage in WrestleMania, and I believe it to make sense. And here's how you do it. Karrion Kross, for months and months now, has been getting in the head of several WWE superstars, some to success and some is just maybe dropping a seed and watching it slowly plant before it starts to root. The ones that have started to bud after their uprooting are guys like the New Day. They had been planted seeds and they're starting to uproot. He's gotten rid of the Wyatt Six essentially, at least in storyline base. He has been getting rid of the Wyatt Six with his victory over Uncle Howdy. The things that he's done with Drew McIntyre, you can associate to the change in Drew McIntyre's style, and you can trace it back to Karrion Kross. There is even a story with him and Dominic Mysterio that you've been seeing play out on WWE Raw. If you've been paying attention, in the background, Karrion Kross has been speaking with Dominic Mysterio and setting plans in motion to make some kind of changes for the Judgment Day. Now remember, Dominic Mysterio was trying to get a new member in the Judgment Day, and we all assumed that it was Penta because he did mention Penta by name, but he never said who when Finn Balor immediately shut it down the first time. And you can go and look at the videos of interviews, and in the background you see Karrion Kross speaking with Dominic. It can be led to believe that Kross was trying to insert himself into that stable. But with this situation with Randy Orton and Karrion Kross, in my opinion, the way that it would make sense is if Karrion Kross got in Randy Orton's head, became one of the voices that was trying to get in his head. And you don't need a whole lot of time to tell this story. It can be simple. In the background, Karrion Kross tries to get in the head of Randy Orton. Randy Orton doesn't like it so much. The two go face-to-face in a backstage segment, maybe have some security break it up. And then immediately Nick Aldis says, I have my opponent for Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I think it would do great because Karrion Kross being billed from Las Vegas, Nevada. Obviously he's from New York, but this is a place that he grew up in. He got his feet wet as a professional wrestler in this. If you remember, 5 Stars Wrestling, the company that did the Chris Bay benefit, Karrion Kross was a part of that for a long time as Killer Kross. Then eventually, once he went to the NXT and then he got let go from the WWE. Subsequently, he went back to FSW and has had some really good matches there. And so there's a storied history. There's a local groundswell of support for Karrion Kross in that area. For him to be a part of WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada is huge, and it would go a long way to making a moment for Karrion Kross, who's had several moments over the course of the last 6 months. If you've been paying attention to his Twitter channel, the emotional support that he has been getting since, kind of reinventing his character. The AOP and Paul Ellering, they were let go, and he still tried to stay course and present a story in slow doses with very minimal story beats, but to try to get everybody to understand where his character is. You can tell he's been putting a lot of work into the character. You can tell he's been doing a lot of press lately. He's got a movie coming out, Blue Evening. He's got a book that is coming out that you can pre-order on his website. Karrion Kross has been doing a lot of press and a lot to get the fans to understand and associate and connect with who he is as a human being, but also who his character Karrion Kross is. I don't think it's possible for him to have a bad match with Randy Orton. The way that Randy Orton sells and the type of character that Karrion Kross is, I believe that to be a huge help for Karrion Kross and a huge story beat for Randy Orton, who is slowly losing it, right? We've seen him attacking Kevin Owens. Now we see him hit the RKO on Nick Aldis. When he came back and made his triumphant return at Elimination Chamber, you noticed that he was saying the voices are back, and Karrion Kross is the devil that the devil on your shoulder. It doesn't take a whole lot to tie those in to have a great match at WrestleMania. I think if you're going to have a substitute that that's going to be for Kevin Owens, I think one of the best that you can do is Karrion Kross. At least that is my opinion. But you guys, go ahead. Let me know in the comments what you think about Karrion Kross potentially being the substitute for Kevin Owens at WrestleMania to go against the Viper Randy Orton, or who is it that you see? Is it the return of Aleister Black or Miro, aka Rusev? Would it be Rusev Day? Can you see anyone else that maybe I have overlooked or that I'm not thinking of aside from a Sami Zayn, of course, that could potentially come out and wrestle Randy Orton? Or are what we're seeing is just an unhinged Randy Orton that is going to be running through people backstage throughout the WrestleMania 41 Night 1 and Night 2 extravaganza? You guys let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for coming out to the portal of pro wrestling. If you may be so kind, hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. Make sure the notification bells is on, because I just post videos when it hits me, when it's in my head, when I feel inspired, when I feel creative inspiration. I grab this microphone and hit play. So make sure that you're in tune to that, because you never know when the wrestling old head is off his rocker dropping you with some hotness. So until next time, stay tuned for more.